Hello and welcome to the oddschecker betting show. I'm your host George Elek, and it's just a one-on-one pod this week because I'm joined by oddschecker's very own Andy Holding to go through Saturday's card at Newbury and looking ahead to the Ayr Gold Cup as well. Andy, how do we find you today?
Pretty good, yeah. Nice and sunny outside, which is great.
Bit of a chill in the air?
A little bit when the sun goes in, it has to be said. Early doors when I took the dog out, yeah. Needed an extra lay on, I won't lie. Probably be the same sort of come 4:30, 5 o'clock when you get to your second shift. But that's good news with the sun out in the afternoon for the forecast for the weekend. I think it's pretty favourable, isn't it? I think this high pressure band we've got at the moment is going to be in place all the way through to sort of, so as far as I could see, at least till Sunday, Monday. So yeah, any sort of soft patches in grounds conditions everywhere, I think that'll be gone by Saturday.
Yeah, exactly. Should be. I've definitely had to dust off a few jumpers over the last couple of days, but as you say, as long as it stays dry, can't complain too much. As I say, we're going to go through the card or at least the races that we have prices for at Newbury, and then at the end of the show we'll do an Ayr Gold Cup preview, not an early Ascot Gold Cup preview, an Ayr Gold Cup preview at the end. So yeah, listen throughout for that. We're going to be talking through all the best prices on the oddschecker grids that you can also find on the oddschecker app. So do download the app now for the best prices. Bookie offers free bets, place terms, and the best tipsters, including Andy himself. His tips straight to the app every morning of racing. We're going to start with Newbury, as I say, start with the 110, Andy, which is a novice stakes where actually, in fairness, they're basically all unraced and we don't have any prices. So we're going to move straight on to the 140, unless you've heard anything worth pointing out. And prices a bit all over the shop, really, to be honest, in the 140. And we're recording this early Thursday afternoon. So final decks were out a couple of hours ago. Normally you'd expect it to kind of leveled out, but that isn't really the case. Anyway, joint favourites, the Godolphin pair, Dubai Future and Siskiny, both at 100 to 30. Solid Stone is the biggest outlier, where you've got a couple of firms, Betfred, Ball Sports, also have Solid Stone at 100 to 30. William Hill go 15 to 2 about Solid Stone. So you can see there where using oddschecker can really pay off. Anyone who's taking the 100 to 37 and 2 without checking will regret it. Kamari, seemingly second string for Charlie Appleby, also 8 to 1. Lysander 10 to 1. Staler 11 to 1. Fancy Man 14. Max Vega 20 to 1. Lady Excalibur 100 to 1. 9 runners here, Andy. As I say, the market a little bit jumbled up. At current best prices, where do you think the value lies?
Well, I think it's a bit of a Godolphin headache, isn't it? That's not the first race that we're going to be covering that Boys in Blue have got at least 2 or 3 runners in there. The interesting run is very much Siskany, isn't it? First run back for 203 days. Not sure what they've had in mind or they've got in mind in future for this horse, but there's no doubt on the pick of his best form as a 3-year-old, he's certainly entitled to a huge amount of respect. And he ran really well out in Dubai, didn't we, when we last saw him? But they've also got Dubai Future and Kamari, who have got more recent stroke reliable form. And out of the 2, I think probably Kamari is the one I'd go for. He's at 8 to 1 as we speak, which doesn't look a bad each way alternative to the ones down the front end of the market. He was a good second last time out at Goodwood behind one of his stable companions, who is a very reliable horse at that level, Rebels Romance. The time figure was very good, and Kamari was the one who was responsible for that good time figure, because he was the one who forced the pace and kept cranking it up all the way down the straight. He only just got run out of it in the back end, but he was quite brave, even though he was headed by the eventual winner, because he pulled well clear of Fancy Man, who was back in third, who's a fair guide to this kind of level of form, listed Group 3 level. And even though Fancy Man reopposes and he can be fancied in sorts, I'd still think Kamari will come out on top. So looking at, like I say, the shape of the race, the doubts about Siskany with his layoff, I'd go with a genuine Kamari at that price.
Kamari, the one. I said maybe the second string, maybe not. Kamari 8 to 1, best price, as short as 7 to 2 with Bet365. Again, you can see bookmakers across the land here disagreeing on how they rate these horses at the top end of the market. But Andy's happy to take the 8 to 1 about Kamari there in the 140. 215 now is the Dubai International Airport World Trophy Stakes over 5 furlongs. And Manikan is the 7 to 2 favourite ahead of Tis Marvellous at 4 to 1. Mitbahi is 7-1. Chill 17-2. Diligent Harry 9-1. Teresa Mendoza 12-1. A Day to Remember 12-1. 14-1 bar those.
Yeah, Marky's got this one spot on, George. I'd have this between Manakan and Tis Marvellous. I've always had a little bit of a soft spot for Manakan, right the way looking back to his 2-year-old days when he clocked a big number first time out, when he finished second in a good maiden race. And he was a bit unlucky in a few handicaps towards the back end of last season, but he's really come of age of late. He won in pretty decisive fashion 3 starts ago at Ascot, over 5 furlongs when he travelled really well and clocked a big number. Just didn't quite get the 6 furlongs on the July track the next time in another well-run race, but they dropped him back to the minimum trip in the Scarborough Stakes at the Doncaster St Leger meeting. And true to form, King of Stars went off in front as we predicted, set the race up really nicely for a closer, and Manakan was the one who was in the right position to strike it. He quickened away in the hands of Ryan Moore to win with quite a bit in hand, I thought. Again, his time was very honest. Right up there with one of his best sets of numbers, and providing they go a clip here, and I'm sure they will, because Lookout Louis in the race. If you've seen Lookout Louis recently, George, he's a real fast horse. Nothing could lay a glove on him last time at Haydock. So, drawn in and around where he is, Lookout Louis drawn 3, Manakan drawn 7. It should give Pat Dobbs a sort of target on the back of Barry McHugh, who rides the Northern Raider. Tis Marvellous, as I mentioned, is the right second favourite. Comes here off the back of a win in the Beverly Bullet last time out. Again, another big time figure. And that's when Tis Marvellous, similar to Manakan, he's at his best, when he's finishing strongly off a strong pace. So he's also got conditions to suit. I did notice as well, Tis Marvellous had finished runner-up in this race on his last 2 tries in it. He finished second to Lazuli 2 years ago, and last year he was third. So, Clive Clocks he's after a little bit of retribution, and he could well get it. But as I said, I am a big fan of Manakan, and this race is likely to set up for him. And if with the weather drying out as well, that definitely playing to his strengths.
7-2 there about Manakan with Bet365. Opened up 4-1, but was swiftly cut in the market 7-2, as short as 11-4 elsewhere for Pat Dobbs and for Andy Holding there. Manakan, the rightful favourite, and the selection in the 215. On to the big race of the day, the Mill Reef Stakes, the 250 over 6 furlongs, and punters haven't missed a trick here. Sack here and Should Have Been a Ring both opened up 7-4, 15-8 joint favourites. Fast forward a couple of hours, and Sack here is now 13-8 best price favourite. Should Have Been a Ring out to 9-4. So punters have had their say. Bookies have moved prices accordingly. Charin is 8-1, Heroism 8-1, Wallop 16-1, Rousing Encore 20-1, Mustajab is 33-1. Just the 7 runners here, although Bet365 are paying 3 places, so a bit of an each way angle if you can get on with 365. But yeah, Sack here being punted off the board since Final Decks came out this morning.
Yeah, no great surprise either. It's particularly if you're a keeper of time figures like I am. He got beat on his debut, but he was a bit unlucky to bump into a horse called Magical Sunset, who got the better of him on that occasion. But again, the time, as I said, was very good. And then he went to Haydock, was heavily supported into favouritism, as his form figures and time figures suggested he should be. And he blew away his opposition to the tune of 6 lengths, running even faster than he did on debut. He did it all in hand as well. He wasn't overly exerted in the latter stages, so there's plenty left to come. And as it stands at the moment, he's by some way clear of this field based on the time figures that we keep. That doesn't mean to say that 1 or 2 can't improve, because the likes of Heroism, Mustajab and Wallop at the bottom have all only had the one chance to show what they can do, whereas obviously Shakir's had the benefit of a couple of runs. But he's definitely the right favourite. I noticed that he was also in the middle of park at Newmarket, and I thought they might go there with him, but they've arguably come here for slightly easier pickings, and that's no disrespect to this field. So I'd be a big Sakir fan. Would I back him at 11-8, 6-4? Could I find bigger prize or better sort of 6-4 shots over the course of the year? Possibly. If you gave me another alternative, or I had to look for some value for the listeners, it'd probably be the bottom one, Wallop, without the favourite. Obviously, that market is not out yet, but on Saturday it will be. I really liked his effort first time out in a very good novice event at Newmarket over the July course. He was second to subsequent Jim Crack winner third to subsequent Gimcrack winner, Noble Style. And I did notice that the front three that day quickened up in quite impressive fashion. The winner had to do 33 and change to win. Millstream chased him home and ran really well in the Acomb. He finished third in the Acomb, and the Acomb's already worked out well. The horse that finished fifth in that race won the other day in pretty impressive fashion. So I think that's decent form, that Newmarket race. So even though he was only sort of like a novice event, he was up against a horse who went on to win a subsequent Group 2. So only beaten a length on debut. He also has got like a standard bearing run next to his name. And if he improves, I think he could easily prove the best of the two Richard Hannon horses, even though the jockey booking suggests the other one, the second favourite, is the one to concentrate on. So that would be my approach. I think Sakir will probably win. And if you wanted to back him at that price, I wouldn't put you off. But if you are looking for something a little bit more juicier, then Wallop is the bet without the favourite.
As I say, yeah, 365 going a fifth of 3 about Wallop, who is 16 to 1 best price with them. And 365 are out with the market as well for that without the favourite. And Wallop is 10 to 1.
That's a big price, yeah.
A quarter the 2 if you wanted to go each way as well with the 6 runners. So there you have it, Wallop. Which way? How would you play that, knowing those prices? Would you take the 16s each way and then win only 10 to 1?
Yeah, now you've sort of dangled a carrot there to me, George, with the extra place.
I can hear you clicking.
16 to 1. I'm just bringing it up myself so I could actually believe it myself.
Yeah.
16 to 1 with 3 places if they all run and they all get to the start without nons, because obviously that could, if they get a non-runner, that could easily be back down to 2 again within a heartbeat. Yeah. But as it stands at the moment, yeah, we've got to give a selection, and albeit Sakir is my number one choice. Wallop is definitely value at that price, and without market as well at 10s.
Yeah, all about value. Wallop, the selection there at the price is 16 to 1. In the normal market, and remember only 365 paying the 3 places, I should point out as well, and then the without market 10 to 1. The 325 is the mile 2 handicap. Again, we've got Godolphin, who look to have the best hand here. Warren Point 7 to 2 favourite ahead of Ottoman Fleet at 6 to 1. Marching Army 15 to 2. Hamaki 8 to 1. See the Casper also 8 to 1. Special Envoy 10 to 1. Staywell 12 to 1. Groundbreaker 14 to 1, 16 to 1 bar those. 13 runners at the moment. SkyBet paying 5 places, a few others paying 4. And who's your selection here?
I think the bottom one's overpriced, Majestic at 20s. I think that was the right price you quoted me there, wasn't it, for Mick Channon's horse?
20
Majestic?
to 1, yeah.
20 to 1, yeah.
Consistent.
He got beat last time out at Windsor, but it was a bit of a funny race. I think if Sean Levy had a chance to ride that race again, he probably would have gone a little bit quicker on that 4-year-old than he did. It was a surprise that he actually made the running, to be perfectly honest, because the time before he missed the break at Beverley and found himself in last position before finishing his race off strong. But the winner of that Beverley race, it just takes time, has won subsequently at Redcard the other day. That's just Dandy who beat him. But Windsor was a creditable 5th in the Irish Cambridgeshire. So, he's been taken on a decent standard of opponent in his last 2 defeats. But I do think he needs a hold-up ride and to come off a strong gallop over a mile and a quarter to be seen best effect. And no doubt, looking at this field, he's bound to get one. There's quite a few front runners in there. Staywell, Palafacino. I'm sure one of the Godolphin horses will go forward. Of those boys in blue, then obviously Warren Point is probably the pick. He was a game winner last time out at Goodwood, coming from a long way off the speed. Clocked a good time in victory that day. And he's probably one of the most classiest runners in the field. And that's the only problem with Majestic to a certain degree. You look at the horses that are in here, they're virgin on listed level. The Soto Sizzlers, Warren Points of this world, Marching Army, all rated in the close to 100 or over. So whether Majestic is up to taking on a Class 2 race, he's having to question. But as I said, at 20 to 1, I don't mind paying that kind of premium to find out. So again, I'm looking for a little smidgen of value, and I'll stick Majestic up at 20 to 1 in the hope that he doesn't disgrace me at the very least.
Sure he won't. Majestic there, 20 to 1 with Paddy Power, Betfair Sportsbook, and Bet Victor, Betfred and Ball Sports, as short as 10 to 1 with Bet365. Really are. This is a good time and a good day to be showing the benefits of oddschecker, because prices are absolutely all over the shop. We've got another maiden after that, Andy, in the 4 o'clock. No prices at the moment. Actually, no prices for the last 3 races on the card. Any horses to flag up in those 3?
Yeah, nothing in the maiden, obviously. There's an interesting running at 4:35. He's a little bit of a tricky customer, and that's Tartan Chief. Looking at the fact that they put the tongue tie in for the first time, it suggests that he might have made a noise in one or two of his last races, maybe at Epsom. He looked like he was going to win, sort of 2 down, and he kind of hung the latch a little bit. And that's probably something to do with that. Maybe there is something mechanically not quite sound with him. But there's no doubt the ability's there. Look, his last 3 runs have all been very good. He's second here at this track, behind Fantastic. 2 runs ago was a good time figure. And he's, like I say, his effort at Epsom, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. The winner went there with a progressive profile, White Willow, and was a good winner on the day. But Tartan Chief was a game and commendable second. So he's holding his form together quite nicely. Obviously, we don't know what price he's going to be, but I imagine it would be an each way price with 17 runners. You're probably looking at 6 or 7 to 1. So he'd do for me there. And there's a couple of horses that run this track particularly well in the final race. Marshall Dan being one of them. He's got a whole host of good performances here, and he's trained by Heather Main, and Heather Main has got a really good strike rate here at Newbury down the years. She's very much a trainer that probably would slip under the radar of most punters, but she's definitely worth siding with when she's got a horse that runs a track well. And the other one is Top Secret from the William and Muir and Chris Grasick setup. Now, if you go back to his run at the start of the season when he was second to Murad, that reads well on paper. And even though he got beat last time out, that was over a mile, and that was against Autrium, who went on to win at the Doncaster St Leger Festival. That race has worked out really well. Autrium has won. This Is Us, the 6th horse, went on to win at a big price at Ascot the other day. So that form line is pretty hot, and he's dropping back to 6 to 7 furlongs, which is his optimum. So again, I don't know the prices of these, but I imagine given their form figures and their set of connections, they'd be at least double-figure quote. So have a little sniff around for those on Saturday. Marshall, Dan, and Top Secret.
There you have it. No prices, as I say, at the moment, but one's just to keep an eye on. Prices probably come out, I'd have thought, tomorrow afternoon. Would be my best bet there. And then, as we said, we're going to have a look at Ayr for the Ayr Gold Cup as well. A cracking card at Ayr as well, but we don't have time to go through each race, although we'll ask Andy for any other business after this as well.
Definitely, yeah.
Khanjar is the 9-2 favourite ahead of Summerhand at 10 to 1. Bielsa 10 to 1. Comanche Falls 11 to 1. Mr. Wagyu 14s. Gulliver 14s. 5,000 to 1 14s. Vadream 16 to 1. Popmaster 16 to 1. Chief of Chiefs 18 to 1. 20 to 1 bar those. And quite an interesting conundrum here, Andy, where you've got the classic Khanjar. Is he the group horse in a handicap against some horses in Summerhand, Bielsa, Gulliver, who are no newbies when it comes to sprint handicaps?
Yeah, it is a good conundrum, or tricky conundrum, isn't it, for punters to get their head around. Do they swerve the obvious potential group horse in a handicap in the shape of Khanjar and go for value, and then probably kick themselves when they see this horse win by 3 lengths and think, why am I not on a horse that is potentially, at least group level further down the line? Don't forget Nahar. Punters turned their noses up at him a couple of years back, and he went off at 7 to 2 and absolutely bolted, and we know what he went on to do subsequently. So William Haggis has got a little bit of previous with horses like this. And I love the way he got over the ground at Haydock last time out. It was good to firm in places, and he really did stride out majestically in the latter stages to win quite readily. Normally with these kind of horses, we don't really get spectacular time figures that back up their visual impression. So sometimes they can be caught out when they run in a race of this nature. But they did go quite quickly at Haydock that day, and I haven't got any problem with him on the clock. But he hasn't run the numbers that some of the really good horses have done in these handicaps. But that's because he hasn't been allowed to run in those kind of races yet. So providing his draw in stall 5 doesn't end up being a negative, and we have seen just one race so far on the straight track at Ayr, and the winner did come over on towards that far side, then he's very much a horse to conjure with. But there are lots of other horses as well, George, aren't there? The old favourites. I mean, Bielsa, he's got to be on the shortlist. He won this race last year. I think Kevin Ryan spent the whole summer trying to get him back down to the same mark. He's only missed out by £1. I think he was 98 last year. He's 99 now. He was drawn 10 last time out at Chester, dropped out the back, tootled his way through the field to finish and never near a 5th. Job done. Dropped in the handicap to 99. So they'll be absolutely pleased this punch that he's, going into the race under a similar set of circumstances. Mr. Wagyu, he was third in the race last year. He's been a a money spinner for the John Quinn stab. We know what John's done so far this season with his sprinters. Hopefield Princess, of course, flying the flag. And then you've got plenty of others you can throw into the mix, including Summergand, who has been there or thereabouts in these kind of races before. A tricky one for me to work out at the moment, and I probably won't put my colours to the mast just yet, in the sense that I want to see the draw. I could easily tip. I've got a short list, but I could easily see the draw with a selection now and say, yeah, this is my definite one. And if it gets drawn badly, I might not even put it up on Saturday. I don't want to mislead the listeners and say, oh yeah, I'm definitely going to go for this, because if it is drawn badly, then I probably won't pick it. So I'm going to see how the Bronze Cup develops tomorrow, get a feel for the straight track races tomorrow, because there's only one race in the straight track as we talk on a Thursday, and then take a view. But definitely Bielsa's on there, Khanjar's definitely there, Mr. Wagyu. Those are the kind of horses I'm looking at.
Can I ask you about one you haven't mentioned?
Go on then.
Bad Dream, a horse that I know you liked back in the day, dropping down in class, proven performer, kind of at that level, and has been, from what I can tell, has been dropped £2 for a pretty good run at Newmarket in a listed race recently, but just touched off by Sam Maximus.
Yeah, and Manacon was back in third that day. I do remember that race well. It was a good time figure race. Yeah, she's just been a little bit. She has to be said to be a little bit disappointed. Yes, that last run was better, and that was in the first time she
finished 3 lengths fifth in the Champions Sprint at Ascot on Champions Day last October.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean she does come good in the autumn, and you know the green shoots of recovery are definitely there with Charlie Fellows. I think he's had a little bit of a below par season by his standards. I think that's a fair comment. But a mark 103 is workable. She likes a strongly run 6. Fast ground's okay, I think, by and large. I think she's okay with that, although she does handle some giving the ground. So if it is still on the easy side, then that's fine. So yeah, definitely another one, because I haven't ruled in anything in and anything out at the moment. I'm just gonna say I'm just boxing clever with him. Like, I think you've got to do in a race like this. You can't dive in and you know, make too strong of an opinion until you've seen how the races develop over the next few days.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've got stronger opinions in a few of the other races. We want to talk about them.
Well, here we go. Let's go. Give us any other business. This is where the people who stay listening to the podcast or watching the show really get their just rewards. Well,
hopefully, yeah. I'm a big fan of this Phantom Flight, who runs in the Doonside Cup, the 155. James Hilton's horse. James had a really good season. Sorry, James Horton Hilton.
Yeah.
James Horton, real groundbreaking season for him, and he's got some proper nice horses, including several good 2-year-olds as well. But this Phantom Flight, I think, could be the pick of the bunch of his. He absolutely destroyed a good field last time out at York. I backed the second horse. I put it up on oddschecker, horse called Spirit Dancer, who was 4th to Amnart in the John Smith. So I thought that horse had the best form coming into the race. And he ran really well, but he just couldn't live with this Phantom Flight. Absolutely left him for dead. He won by 5 lengths, hit the line really hard, fast, very, very fast time. He's definitely at least a listed horse, of which this race is, of course, on Saturday. And I think he could go even higher than that. So if you can get a reasonable price about him, I don't think
the best price at the moment with Hills.
Yeah, I don't think you go too far wrong with him. I think he's a very good horse in the making. And the other race that interests me is no great surprise, George, a 2-year-old race where the time figures hopefully will work out really well. The 2 to concentrate on there, despite the market suggesting that Queen Me's the one. I think Queen Me's got quite a bit to find here, even though she's a 5 to 4 poke. I like Bonnie Angel and All the Time. I'll probably back these 2 against the field. Bonnie Angel won a Doncaster nursery last time out, which obviously is a little bit far removed from Group 3. But the way she won, I thought, God, that is definitely a pattern filly. And connections clearly think that as well. She's gone from a rating 78 to 94. And she's improving at rapid rate of knots. And her time figures have been very good. Her last week victory at Donny was good, and her Leicester run was very good as well. And the other one is All the Time, who was second last time out in the Dick Pool at Salisbury. She should have won that day. She was the best filly in the race. She got drawn badly, stuck out wide. Unfortunately, I think it was Jack Mitchell Road. She just kept hanging to the left, and the further the race went on, she was almost in the, almost going to buy an ice cream off the ice cream van. She was that far wide. But once he managed to straighten up, she actually took off and finished just behind the winner, Juliet Romeo, again in a quick time. Her time figure the time before was good at Chester, and I don't think she'll hang this badly this time, because obviously they're racing, if you like, the other way rather than sort of like from right to left. They're racing from left to right. So I think this time should be fine. So yeah, all the time. And Bonnie Angel with number 2 against the field there. So yeah, a couple of more races to have a look at.
Good stuff. That's the 305 there. The fillies race over 6 furlongs. Queen Me is the 7-4 favourite. Bonnie Angel 11-2. SkyBet going 5 places there, so 11-2 the 5 places, and all the time 7-1 with 365. There you have it. A pretty quick one-on-one chat through the racing on Saturday at both Newbury and Ayr. Thank you very much to Andy for sharing his tips and insight. Do subscribe to the Oddschecker YouTube channel every week, or pretty much every week. Andy and I sit down and we chat about racing and look ahead to the weekend. And also having a look back at what's happened as well. I did want to ask you, Andy, the news about Baaeed heading to Ascot rather than the Arc. No surprise there?
No, not really. They've obviously given it some thought, but you know they're running in a race where they're a little bit more comfortable with. They know the what they're dealing with regards to the track. They know the horse loves Ascot. They wouldn't really mind too much if it went on the soft side. You know, he won the straight mile race last year on really bottomless ground, which a lot of punters thought might blunt his speed. The risk is going to France, I suppose, if it was soft ground or heavy ground on the day and he's taken on proper mudlarks over 1.5 miles, that of course is the unknown. You're going into a territory where you're just guessing rather than being absolutely sure. And with a horse like that, they want to be absolutely sure. They want to run their horse under their optimum conditions. It just makes sense to do that. Although the general public and racegoers and fans want to see Baaeed in the Arc, which would have been a great send-off to the season, that would have made it a great race. It's very much Ascot's gain. And I actually think from a betting perspective as well, it rather opens it up as well over in France as well, where we should get sort of 3-4 to 1 the field now. And a lot, perhaps 1 or 2 more horses that might have look to dodge a bullet and go somewhere else, we'll probably think, well, you know, we'll roll the dice at Longchamp. So I think it'll probably be a better betting race for it, even though the sight and the spectacle of Baaeed not being there, obviously, you know, does detract a little bit from the race.
Yeah, indeed. I'm sad as a fan, but understand it was always probably going to be unlikely, and will be great to see Baaeed at Ascot and Champions Day next month as well. As I say, thank you to Andy for sharing his insight yet again. Do subscribe to the Oddschecker YouTube channel and on the podcast provider platform as well. You should find us on any podcast provider that you use, and also do download the app. Best prices, bookie offers. You saw today how much the prices can differ from bookie to bookie, so do download that and you can get different place terms and Andy's tips amongst other sports tipsters straight to the app as well. Hopefully a couple of winners in there, another cracking Saturday's racing ahead of us, and please, as is always the case, do ensure that you are gambling responsibly.